Hi, my name is Greg Martin, and I'm here with LEL. I'm a project manager and a tech specialist on the critical side, and thought we'd talk about real quick today some of the differences between two Caterpillar units, but made at different time periods. This unit right here was made in the 80s, probably around 84, 85. It's a 1 megawatt power generator. And you'll notice some of the differences on the controls. A lot of analog controls. This is one of the first EMCP control panels that Caterpillar came out with. Very simplistic, very rugged, but the unit was very reliable, as the whole unit was. But this was a time period where there was analog controls. The injection system on the engine was mechanical. In order to give you enough power to run this 1000 kW back end, this SR4, you needed an engine plant, a prime mover that would do that. And Caterpillar had this engine right here which produced about 1400 horsepower. It's a 3508 series engine, single turbo. Some things to notice: this unit had a radiator. There's no aftercooling on this engine. They made horsepower the old-fashioned way with cubic inches. And that's what they did in order to drive that 1 megawatt back in. Compared to the new unit, you'll notice the radiator it's a core type radiator with louvers on a 45 degree. The way the governing system worked on these was mechanical, and it was operated on a Woodward 2301 governor controller. And so it had a lot of systems that were separate from the generator itself. And a lot of times these 2301 controllers, speed controllers, and other controllers that would be used to parallel the units with the grid would be remote located inside a Russell switchgear or something like that. It would not be necessarily mounted inside the generator control panel. A very simple unit, but very reliable, and we can compare that to this unit over here. So in comparison, we looked at the 80s 1 megawatt unit by Caterpillar, and we'll compare that to a 2021 CAT unit. Running a different engine, you'll notice a lot of improvements, and as technology improved, for example, the control panel, this is everything right here. It's all digital. Got a digital voltage regulator. This EMCP control panel, which is a 4.4, allows this generator to parallel to the grid or parallel to other units. There's a lot of functionality that this panel offers that just wasn't available back in the 80s, or it wasn't available unless you used a lot more systems incorporated into it to get that result of being able to peak shave, parallel, and base load. So this is the new unit here. This is a 1 megawatt. It's running a C32 engine, which is the old 3412 series engines. This unit has 2 turbos. It's aftercooled, so it's an air-to-air aftercooler. This engine is producing about just over 1800 horsepower, so the engine's technically is smaller than that unit over there, but with aftercooling and with this unit uses a high-pressure common fuel rail, so the engine's more efficient, uses less fuel, and weighs less. The overall unit weighs considerably less than that other unit that we looked at. You can see some of the differences on the radiator, just on the radiator itself. Of course, you got the back portion is for your aftercooler, and then this up here is for the engine, the jacket water portion. Some of the things that CAT did that I think is really good, if you had to run the overhead, the valve covers are very accessible without having to remove really anything. You can remove those, you can run the overhead, do the valve adjustments. The filters are very accessible. I love the fact that CAT includes a primer pump, so when you're doing services, it makes it much easier to get the unit primed back and get it running. This is a skid mounted unit. Air filters are very easy to access. They've lowered them down, they used to be up. Some of the other things to note on this unit, this marshalling panel, or this panel here that allows you access to customer connections, it's hinged, and it's also lockable. So you don't even have to take the bolts and screws loose to get access to that panel. It's lockable, and you can open it up really easily for troubleshooting or for making adjustments on whatever type of alarming and so forth that you would have with this unit. Looking at the other side of the unit, again, I said that this particular unit has mechanical electronic injectors. It's a high pressure fuel rail, common rail. It's electronically controlled. Here's your alternator. They put alternator, they got a cover on here. A lot of things were reduced quite a bit of weight, so you'll see some things considerably different, whereas maybe back in the 80s this would be a metal cover, now it's plastic. Got a battery disconnect switch on this unit. This is a really top of the line unit right here. Okay, so what we talked about was 2 generators, the same kW size, but in different time periods. And as technology increased, the equipment got so much more efficient, lighter weight. They were able to get more horsepower and more kW from less engine. And they did that with a lot of technological advances on control side and on the engine side and the fuel side. So what we have, again, just recapping, we have 2 generators of the same size but made 40 years apart. And as you see, technology is good, and it's increased, and it's allowed engines to be so much more efficient and deliver so much more power.